What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Game Sports Podcast. And today we have some college football action coming at you. Got some games that have been done, some previews, and a whole bunch of other stuff for the college football scene. Week one starting up this weekend, or yeah, I guess it is week one. Week zero was last weekend, and some good matchups to look at here.
Yeah,
All right, so I guess we are recording this on what Thursday night slash Friday morning, depending on what time it is right now.
Friday,
And
September 2nd at 12:05 a.m.
two games have finished up. Or two notable games, I should say. We had the Backyard Brawl, which is Pittsburgh Panthers and West Virginia Mountaineers. That game ended 38-31 in favor of the Panthers. And Penn State versus Purdue. Penn State walked out with a 35-31 victory over Purdue. Those are the two games that have
How
finished
about
up
that
thus far.
clutch? How about that clutch pick six in the Pittsburgh game?
I saw that. It's pretty cool.
Walk us through that because I didn't see it. I just saw like I saw the alert come in while I was out at work. So
Pittsburgh had begun turning the tides of the game. Like it had been going back and forth the entire game. And I honestly thought West Virginia was going to win. I mean, Pittsburgh at certain points looked not like a ranked football team. And defense came up big when they needed it. Got the pick six, which ended up being the deciding touchdown. Big time from their
yeah,
defense. Let me see if I can figure out who got it. I don't even know. I don't know if it's going to give me defensive stats here, or if I'm actually have to look that up. Yeah, I actually have to look it up. Give me 1 second. I will figure this out. This is a nice awkward silence.
well, I don't think we really need to figure out who had the pick six. We know it was Pittsburgh who had it, so I don't think the
Devon
players really highlighted
Devonshire.
it.
I apologize
All
to
right,
MJ Devonshire. It was a tipped pass. I do remember that part. And then I didn't get to watch any of the Penn State and Boilermaker game, or Penn State and Purdue, sorry, game.
yeah,
You were completely frozen on my
I
screen
had Penn
again.
State in that one. Am I really?
Yeah, yeah, it's just kind of choppy. It's all good.
I guess we're scrapping this one.
No, you're unfrozen now.
All right.
Um, yeah, 35-31. Uh, Penn State had a drive about a minute, 2 minute, a 2 minute drill drive that went down and scored. And then I believe Purdue
Yeah,
turned the ball
clutch.
over right after. So yep, that's
Yeah.
how those two games have ended. Pretty much every other
There weren't
game
a
that
lot
had
of.
been going on had been either like irrelevant or it was a complete blowout. I mean, you had like teams like Tennessee win their games by like 50 points. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State played a game, and their
Yeah, they won
quarterback
58 to 44.
their quarterback had quite the day.
Yeah, 36 of 49 for 424 yards and four touchdowns.
He
No,
also
that
ran.
was Central Michigan's.
He
That was
also
Central
ran for.
Michigan's.
He also ran for two more, I believe.
Yeah.
Why can't
Spencer
was it?
Sanders, the
Was it?
Oklahoma State
Okay, it was
quarterback,
Oklahoma State.
had six touchdowns.
He looked unstoppable.
Yeah, something to watch out. I mean, they're ranked 12 right now.
You know who's ranked 13?
I don't see them. Yeah, I don't see Oklahoma State climbing up any higher after this week, but you never
No.
know. Could be
Well,
some upset. Actually,
Seren.
they'll climb at least one spot.
Who you? Why? If
You
Oregon
got number
if
11 Oregon.
yeah, I'm about to say if Oregon loses to Georgia, which we do need to cover that one because that's a big game. That
Yeah,
one
that's what I
and
was
the
gonna get into there.
Notre Dame Ohio State is also looking to be a really good game.
That's the game of the week for sure.
Oh yeah,
But
easily.
Oregon and Georgia,
That's gonna be a good one
I
too.
I, I don't think that's gonna be very close. I think Georgia's gonna blow them out.
You think so?
Georgia has the line by 17, and I would take Georgia to cover the spread.
Well, okay, so Georgia's championship run last year was done like heavy lifting on the defensive side of the football. I mean, their offense was kind of,
Yeah,
it was a good offense, but a lot of those defensive starters went to the league. I mean, you had Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker. A lot of those guys from that defense are now in the NFL, and so I'm interested to see if their new guys can step up in a big way in game one, especially playing against an Oregon team who didn't lose too much talent to the NFL over the offseason.
yeah.
If the spread is
I
17, I would
think I
definitely
think
take
the
Oregon.
really.
If the spread is 17, I don't think Georgia's going to beat Oregon by 17 points. Although,
You
who
don't
is
think
Oregon's
Georgia's gonna blow
coach?
them out at home?
Who's Oregon's coach now?
I don't know.
They did get a new
No
football.
clue.
They got a new coach. I just can't remember who it is, and I'm about to feel like an idiot. Because I know Cristobal went to Dan Lanning. You know what's
Yeah.
funny about that? This is an interesting storyline that I just stumbled upon. Dan Lanning was the defensive coordinator for Georgia, and now
Wow.
he's the head coach at Oregon, playing against his national championship squad from last year,
I
or
think
the remnants of it.
of the most anticipated matchup of the week has got to be the NCAA tournament rematch, Colorado State versus Michigan. That's a heavy hitter matchup right there.
Colorado State
Unranked
versus
Colorado
Michigan.
State, unranked Colorado State on the road against number 8 Michigan. That could be a blockbuster of a game right there. Michigan
You
has
th-
the line by 30 and a half.
you think Colorado State can pull an App State and beat them?
No,
You don't
absolutely not.
you don't think
That's
so?
gonna be a blowout.
Yeah, it's gonna be
That's gonna be a blowout.
going back to the
Well,
Georgia
the
game.
over
Going
under,
back to the Georgia game, though,
yeah. Oh,
you really think Georgia's gonna cover 17 points against Oregon?
I think they will. That's my bold prediction of the week. The over under is 54. So I guess, I mean, if both teams scored, let's see, 27, and then you gotta score 17 more. So I mean that means Oregon scoring like 20, Georgia's scoring like 37. So
It'll be interesting to see
20 to
because this
37.
this game will this game will definitely be setting the tone for how Georgia's season's gonna go. Because last year was again on the back of their defense, who basically just steamrolled their way through everybody, winning the Natty. They're not that good this year.
Yeah.
They're still good. They're probably still a top like five defense in all of college football, but they're not that unstoppable force that they were last year. So for me, it'll be interesting to see. That's why I'm not too confident. I mean, I'm confident Georgia's gonna be a really, really good team this year again, but I don't think they're not gonna pull what they did last year. And
I
I know
mean,
we have a big Georgia
it's a t-
Bulldog fan watching, so he's gonna hate me for that. But
I mean, it's a tough starting game, but if they get through Oregon, then they have a cupcake schedule. They have an absolute cakewalk. They have Stanford, not Stanford, Sanford, South Carolina, Kent State, Missouri, Auburn, Vanderbilt. Florida might give them a little bit of trouble. Tennessee, Mississippi State. Kentucky's the only other ranked team right now that's on their schedule, and then they end it off with Georgia Tech.
you said
So
Tennessee.
they play Tennessee,
Tennessee's a
but
good team.
I don't.
I watched a little bit of their stuff from today, and they look pretty good. I mean, granted, they were playing like Ball State, so you would hope that they win by 30 points, but Tennessee's gonna be a
Yeah,
good team this year. So that'll be a tough
I think
game.
it.
Auburn
I think
for me
another
is a
great matchup.
weird one. Auburn for me is a weird one too because Auburn, you never know with them. I mean, they were like not trying to like diss Auburn fans, but last year they were kind of a disappointment. And then they walked into they played Bama in Auburn and just about beat them. Like they should have had that game.
Yeah.
They were up, I think 3 or 7. They were up one score of some sort with like a minute left with the ball, and just got bullied, and then went into overtime and lost. Nick
I feel like
Saban,
that's just a universal experience with Alabama. They like everyone across the country they put on an Alabama game while they're on upset watch or a highly anticipated game, and then they end up falling asleep in front of their TV and they wake up and Auburn has blown them out or Alabama's blown them out. Alabama's come back from behind or taken a team that was supposed to put up a fight and just absolutely shellac them. Like I feel like I've definitely had a few games where I just like put on an Alabama game where they're either on upset alert or it's a close game or something, and I'm like getting my hopes up. Maybe I'll see Alabama lose a game. I don't have anything against them. It's just really boring to see them just win game after game, year after
yes,
year, and
absolutely.
they just end up just tearing through their schedule every year.
All right,
So
so here's another thing I want to bring up. You mentioned upset alert. What is one
yeah,
of the top 25 games or the top 25 matchups going on this week that you could see being an upset?
oh, that's an easy one. Cincinnati, Arkansas. Cincinnati ranked 23rd,
Cincinnati,
Arkansas
Arkansas.
ranked 19th. I'm really excited to see that one. Cincinnati on the road going into Arkansas, ranked a few spots lower, but I think Cincinnati pulls it off. I think they're underrated. I feel like the selection committee and like all the ratings and the rankings, they always do Cincinnati so dirty. I think they should have been in the college football playoff. What was it, last year, 2 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they deserved a spot in it. They got snubbed, but I feel like they're coming back with a lot of that same energy, and you know, their ceiling is a college football playoff spot. And even though they're ranked 23rd, I mean, if we look at their schedule, I mean, they have 19th ranked Arkansas. They win that game. Then they have Kennesaw State, Miami, Ohio, Indiana, Tulsa, South Florida, SMU, UCF, Navy, East Carolina, Temple, and Tulane. No more ranked opponents the entire rest of the season. So they storm through Arkansas and they just go undefeated. I mean, they could finish top 10.
All right, so looking at my stuff here, it's tough because a lot of these week one matchups, you have these ranked teams playing a bunch of like I don't want to say a bunch of nobodies because there's still somebodies, but I mean you have Alabama playing Utah State, and that's pretty much sums up what the entire top 25 is going through this week, apart from those two good games and one other one that I'm going to point out. This is probably bold to assume, but I think Utah at 7 is just outrageous.
I think so too. I think Florida will put up a fight against them.
I think Utah is my team of the week on upset alert. And as much as it pains me to say
Yeah,
this, ECU sold out the stadium that they're playing in on Saturday against NC State.
yeah,
And as a state fan, I mean, anyone else who's an NC State fan will get this. We play to the level of our opponents. So we always have close games. I mean, if we played every other team like we played Clemson, we would only lose to Clemson. But we don't. Every game State
yeah.
plays, and it's funny because I'm a Seahawks fan, and for the longest time, that was also about the same thing. But I don't want to say State's on upset alert, but that's going to be a good game. A lot better than a lot of people think it's going to be. I think the spread on that one's like it's 11 and a half. And that's
Yeah, I
tough
think
because
Cincinnati comes in.
the last two times State has played ECU, we've covered by like 30 points, but you never know.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati comes out of Razorback Stadium with a dub. And then I think another one is watch for UTSA to pick up where they left off. They had some success last year, and they're playing 24th ranked Houston. I think
Ooh,
UTSA, unranked, comes in. They're playing at home in San Antonio, Texas. I think they come in and upset Houston at home, and honestly, if they do that, they're going undefeated. UTSA, and I think they were
Wow.
undefeated last year. So maybe the selection committee, maybe like the AP poll, the coaches poll, maybe they shine a little bit on San Antonio this year and give them a ranked spot. You know?
All right, I want to bounce to the Ohio State and Notre Dame game.
Oh, that's the game of the week right there.
So right now the spread is 17 towards OSU, which I don't know about that. I always find myself, and this is a thing that I've always done. I every time I look at Ohio State playing these games against these top 10 teams, I say, well, I mean, how much better are they really? And then Ohio State will go and beat the tar out of them by like, 60 points. This Notre Dame team
Yeah.
is going to be an interesting story to watch this year because pretty sure did they have Ian Book last year or did they have somebody else? No, I think Ian Book was in the NFL last year. So they had somebody else at quarterback last year.
Ian Book was in the NFL last year. Yeah.
So I can't remember who their quarterback was, but they don't have Brian Kelly anymore. And Brian Kelly not being there, I feel like is definitely it'll either be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, you see him go down to the LSU and put on this like Southern boy accent and all this stuff, which is absolutely hilarious. But he's a good coach. There's a reason he's bounced around like to teams and gone to better teams every time, with the exception of this one. I don't understand leaving Notre Dame for
Yeah.
LSU other than the money, but you got to do what you got to do. I'm rooting for Notre Dame though.
So who do you? Yeah. So who do you think walks out with the dub though?
Ohio State's gonna win that game, but
I have to agree with you there.
I don't think it's gonna be the 17-point spread. It's the same thing with Oregon. I just don't think
I think
unless some
Oregon gets mollywopped by Georgia. I think Georgia absolutely blows them out.
I think Georgia wins that game by about 10 points, and I think Ohio State wins by about 13 to 15.
I mean, Georgia has their QB returning, Stetson Bennett, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was the
Yeah, but
QB last year.
Stetson Bennett was that Georgia offense last year. They did throw up a bunch of points, but it's kind of what I like to compare last year's Georgia team to.
What?
This one hits home for me. I like to compare it to the Legion of Boom Seattle Seahawks. Because, and here's the similarities. Georgia's defense last year was insane. Like, they gave up nothing. Their offense was, it was good. But because you keep getting these turnovers and the balls in plus territory where you don't have to drive nearly as far, we're able to throw up a whole bunch of points and win games. And that's how the Legion of Boom Seahawks used to work prior to throwing the ball in the 1 yard line. I mean, Russ, I will stand up for him for a long time. He's a great quarterback. But those early Seahawks, I say early, that's when I started watching, was about 2010. But those early Seahawks teams in my days were not the offensive juggernauts that Russ was after the Super Bowl teams had broken up. And so that's what Georgia seems like to me.
Yeah.
But me saying that, I also know what happened after the Legion of Boom was not a thing and what happened to our record and how we started playing. And I would not be surprised if Georgia suffers a similar fate.
You know, I think Georgia has a good season this year. I mean, they don't really have that tough of a schedule. You know, this is really their big test of the year. You know, coming off it's their first game of the year, and they're playing another highly ranked opponent. But I also think Oregon's really unproven as well. You know, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
both teams are going to have to go out there and kind of show that they are the team that's meant to not only win this game, but, you know, make it to a postseason. So, I
All
mean,
right.
Oregon could make the playoffs if they play
I think
extremely
so.
well.
Let's see. What are some other games we got going on this week? Alabama and Utah State. How many points is Alabama going to win that one by?
They have the line by 42. So
You know what's crazy is I would never normally bet on a 42-point line, but honestly, I don't think they're gonna. I don't. Utah State might score. What? Wait, they actually have a game already. They played in week 0. They played UConn.
and they won.
They did win. Running back
Yeah.
had 161 yards off of 33 rushing attempts. All right, they might score 5. They might score 7 points.
You know,
Alabama's gonna
I think Baylor's ranked
cakewalk
a
them.
little high this year.
What are they? 10? I think they're 10.
Yeah, they're 10. I mean, they're going to beat Albany this week, but I just I think they're overrated this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ranked first in the Big 12. That's they're going to have a great game week 2 playing
Who's?
at number 25 BYU.
I don't even think. I honestly do not think BYU should be ranked.
Yeah, we'll see what happens week 1 with them, but
Is Coastal ranked?
Coastal's got to be ranked.
Nope, they're not.
Dang.
Yeah, take at the 25 spot, I would totally drop BYU for Coastal Carolina, and that's not a North Carolina bias thing. I just think that Coastal Carolina is a better team. They've got their quarterback and coach
Yeah,
returning.
well,
They were dominant last year up until like the very end, which I think was BYU. But I feel like they're going to have
yeah,
more retained excellence, whereas BYU is not going to hold up.
yeah.
All right,
Not a lot of
let's
like.
go to some of your games. So let's see, who do y'all have? Speaking on Chapel Hill, I think y'all play at Appalachian State.
I mean, no one's gonna want to hear about UNC. Like, as much as I hate to say it, nobody cares about UNC this year.
You sure about that? We've had some people care. I've seen some people that are Chapel Hill people that are like, yeah, we're gonna be good in football this
Well,
year.
yeah, well, yeah. The fans are gonna say that, but if you're not a UNC fan, then you don't care about UNC's football program this year.
App State,
I mean, unless we pull into week 4 or week 3 against Notre Dame and pull off crazy upset, then people might start looking our way. But nobody's looking at UNC right
y'all
now.
are a team of the future. You have a young offensive core, and that's what's important.
Yeah,
For all right, so App State, that's gonna be a good game.
it'll be an entertaining game, not one that
Oh
many
yeah,
people are gonna watch. But
no, but App State always plays pretty well.
yeah,
Let's see.
App State they were ranked last year, weren't
Yeah,
they?
no, and they normally are too. Like App State's always had a good team.
App State wins that game, they might be ranked,
No,
depending on how things. Well, you gotta look at how
it
things shake out at the bottom of the top 25. Like,
yeah.
you see BYU take a loss, I doubt it, but if they do, and then let's see, Kentucky's not gonna lose; they're ranked 20th. Cincinnati loses, and they're out of the top 25. That
Arkansas
opens up
lose.
2 spots.
I think if Arkansas loses by enough, they'll be kicked out. Houston, you said, is on
I
upset
think
alert.
I think Houston's gonna lose and drop out of the top 25. Um, so like you're looking at potentially 3 or 4 spots opening up for them. They could snag one of those.
Yeah. So looking into this, I'm gonna look at some other ACC games just to see if there's anything relevant. You got number 16 Miami playing Bethune Cookman,
Yeah, not really relevant.
matchup of the year.
I mean, there's no real relevant ACC games right now.
Well, the only thing relevant about that game is let's see how good Mario Cristobal is as the Miami head coach, and to
Yeah,
see if Trevor
I
Van
don't think
Dyke
that's
comes
really
back
the.
pretty good.
I don't think that's really the test for them. I think the test comes week 3 when they play number 6 Texas A&M.
Woo, that's gonna be a good game. And then you got Clemson and
Yeah,
Georgia Tech.
you mean Clemson? Georgia Tech's not ranked.
You
They're
mean Yeah, I know you mean. Yeah, it's Clemson and the Best Buy Geek Squad. Who's your money on?
Clemson and Pittsburgh to end off the season. I think Miami beats Pittsburgh, but I don't think they're taking out Clemson. They'll lose to A&M and Clemson. They'll be a two-loss program this year.
Clemson's gonna be a two-loss program.
No,
Oh, Miami.
Miami's losing to A&M and Clemson.
Clemson. You think Clemson's gonna lose?
Let's see. They'll beat Wake Forest. They'll beat NC State. Oh, they
No,
play Notre
they
Dame.
do play Notre Dame. I was looking at that. I think
That could be a good matchup.
they've got 3 games on here. I could see them losing, but I don't think they're. I think only one of them is like actually realistic. There's
You're
three.
looking at NC State, Notre Dame, and Miami.
Yep, NC State, Notre Dame, and Miami are the 3 teams that I could see upsetting Clemson. Which I guess if Notre Dame does it, it's not really an upset as much as it is like, okay, cool,
Like just a really good win. A
yeah,
really
really strong game, really strong win.
upset. Yeah.
I think Miami's gonna be pretty good this year, though. I think them at 16 is a little bit too low.
Yeah.
I think they should be higher than that.
They'll definitely jump up throughout the first
Yeah,
few weeks.
well, because
Win some good games.
when is their first? You said their first test was A&M.
Yeah, that's week 3, I think.
Hot take. They can win that game.
They can. I don't think they will, but I haven't seen either of them play yet. That's the magic of this week.
Yeah,
You're seeing it. You're seeing most teams play for the first time.
it's all speculation.
Yeah.
We won't have any idea until, well, probably not even after Saturday night because a lot of these teams are playing, tune-up games. Very
Yeah.
few teams out there are
There's not a
playing.
lot to. There's not a ton to talk about for week 1, just because you know you don't really know how any of the teams are looking right now, and with college, there's so many off-season moves that just don't get talked about because there's so many
Mhm.
more teams in the NFL. So you know, so much more that just flies under the radar and doesn't get covered.
I cannot. I know I'm gonna sound like an absolute fanboy of my team for this, but I cannot wait to see what happens with NC State this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be an exciting year for state fans, unless they drop a game they should win, and then season's over basically. So
And that's kind of something I don't like about college football is like in such a championship heavy culture where every bit of success is determined on how much you win. This college football is the worst for this, but if you lose one game, you're done.
yeah,
Unless unless
with a
that one
four-team
game
playoff.
unless that one game is a loss in the SEC championship to Alabama, you're done.
Well, I mean, there's also like if you lose to a highly ranked opponent in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, you may be able to bounce back, and if you win out, you may be able to get a playoff spot if you win your conference championship, especially if your conference is the SEC. But you really have to you really can't lose a game after like week 2
Yeah,
if
and
you
that's the
unless you're playing against like Alabama and maybe Clemson in a conference championship. But even then, if you're playing Clemson and you lose, you got to be in the top 4 already.
hmm
Same thing with Alabama. I mean, I guess if you're at 4 and you lose to Alabama, you may be able to sneak in still, but it's gonna be tough.
So looking at NC State here, and I know we talked about State last time, but I want to harp on this. Will you play Clemson in Week 5? Which, if that's the only game we lose, we should finish inside the top 10 and have a good bowl.
Yeah, that's fair.
If we're a one-loss team with our loss being to Clemson, and this is assuming that Clemson is back to the powerhouse juggernaut that they have been the last 10 years, apart from last year, then it'll end up being a good season. I have not been this
Yeah,
excited for an NC
definitely.
State sports franchise in a long time. Other than
Yeah.
baseball last year with Tommy Tanks, because that was hilarious.
But I mean, honestly, there's not much more we can talk about college football. You know, week one's kind of the easing it into. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
few good matchups, but
Here's
week
my
one is
random.
kind of
Here's my random comment. You ready? Switching gears
sure.
100%. Have you seen the video of Timmy Trumpet playing the intro for Edwin Diaz when he's walking out in the field?
Yeah, I've seen that, of course.
That is, yeah, but that's hilarious.
Yeah,
I think they should sign him to a deal and let him do that every time Diaz walks out on the baseball field.
yeah. We definitely gotta talk about that in our baseball episode coming up. So everyone, make sure you stay tuned for that. That's coming
Absolutely.
up. Hopefully, if this goes up Friday, if this goes up Friday, hopefully that'll go up like Monday.
Yeah, sometime soon.
I think that's a good time frame.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, it was good talking college football. Cannot wait for this season to start up. Yet another
Yeah,
sports season that's on the
I
verge
wish
of
we had
starting.
more. I wish we had more to talk about with college football, but there's just nothing week one that's like worth talking about.
Yeah, and it's mostly because a lot of these schools do tune-up games. So I mean, once you start getting into
Yeah,
week two, week three, well, not week two as much, but like week three, week four, you start conference play. About week 5 or 6, it's gonna get nice. There's gonna be a lot of good matchups,
we'll have some good matchups,
a lot of inside the top tens. SEC football
and then
always
we'll be able to,
is always crazy.
talk about NFL as well. This is the last week without NFL football, so
Oh yeah, and there's some NFL stuff that's happened in the last couple of days that I want to chat about, but that would defeat the purpose of doing a college football episode. So I'll cover that at some point.
yeah.
Just like I would just like to throw
Well,
out
we
though,
have
my boy Russ got paid. He got paid
yeah.
big. He
Well,
got
we have an
paid
NFL episode
big.
coming up. Yeah, we have an NFL episode coming up this week, closer to kickoff. So that's another thing to stay tuned for. That's what I'm most excited for. NFL kickoff.
Oh yes, Bills and Rams too.
What a great game to start it off with.
Super Bowl preview.
Maybe we'll talk about it.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, y'all. Like and subscribe. Go follow, or we don't have an Instagram page yet. Go join our Discord. Link will be down in the description and the comments wherever we decide to put it. And yeah, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Bust a nut tonight.
I'm so glad I got that on video. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Game Sportscast, where apparently Preston's computer is about to do questionable activities. Um,
This is
we
part 2 of episode 3.
this has been like the most challenging part to upload, and which is really kind of hilarious because we don't have much to talk about. But I can talk. I can talk about some things that are going on in the world of sports. Um, the recording software on my computer decided today that it just wanted to be difficult, like really, really difficult. And I'm trying out some new stuff with
Yeah.
with my new headset and all that. And OBS decided today that it just wanted to be a pain in my tail and not work good. So here we are. We
But
attempted
that's
to
okay
we
because
started the attempt to record this about 10 o'clock. It is currently 11:30. It took me an hour and a half and a whole studio move upstairs and downstairs to try to get this thing to work. And from the looks of it now,
yep.
it looks like we might actually have something going here. But yes, this is a day
Knock
after.
on wood.
Yeah, for real. My desk is wood that this is sitting on. But yeah, it is a day after the original podcast episode was recorded. But there's some huge breaking news. Well, not breaking, but
Yep.
news that dropped today. The college football playoff is now expanding to 12 teams rather than 4. So what we were saying about, how I think the college football playoff is kind of not as good because there's only 4 teams is now not a factor because there are
Unfortunately, we won't
12 teams.
Unfortunately, we won't see it for a while though. So
They said it could happen as early as 2024 or as late as 2026. But
Yeah.
That's either one I still think is a win because a 6-team football playoff is going to be a lot more exciting, a lot more exhilarating than, the 14 playoff that we're stuck with now.
You mean a 12-team playoff?
Did I say 16?
You said six.
Uh, Whoops. Yeah, 12 teams. So the way this is going to work is the top 4 conference champions get buys. It's not the top 4 seeds, but the top 4 conference champions. And I was reading up on this earlier. The way they're going to accept this is you have 6 of your highest ranked conference champions. So most likely all 5 conference champions from the Power 5 conferences, and then 1 wild card, so to speak, conference champion. And then you'll have 6 at-large bids. So probably 2
Exciting.
of the top 10, maybe 3 of the top 10 teams in the country will have buys. Then you'll probably have like a mid-teens team have a buy, maybe, depending on how the season works out. Because, well, I don't know, because in the previous college football playoffs, normally you have like 2 or 3 division champs in there. But the way it's going to work now is I imagine every team under about spot 9. Like if you're in a single digit rank in college football, you will probably get in the college football playoffs. But it kind of reminds me of what they did with March Madness, where just because you're a top 64 team in the country does not mean you're in the tournament.
Yeah. But that's exciting. I'm glad they're expanding it, opening it up a little bit.
That
And, that makes it, I think the real reason behind it is they're trying to discourage the super conferences from forming, trying to discourage the SEC and the Big 12 or Big 10 or whichever one is, yeah, Big 10, I think, from like
it's the
just
Big Ten,
taking
yeah.
over and, yeah, and just grabbing all these teams. Like we've had ACC teams rumored to join the SEC, you've had Pac-12 teams rumored to join the Big 10. And it was looking like for a while there that in a few years it was going to just be the SEC and the Big Ten were going to be like the only 2 conferences. There were going to be 2 super conferences with like 50 teams, and I was not looking forward to that. So I'm kind of glad that this
I
kind of discourages that a little bit.
It does discourage it, and especially with the whole conference champions thing being involved there, it actually makes things interesting. I think because sure, 5 of the 6 conference champions, like I said earlier, are probably going to be your Power 5 conferences. So the ACC, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and Pac 12 will all be
Yeah,
included in that. But then you also have one wild card, and you always have that one team like a BYU or App State's been good in a couple of years past. You always have that one team from a random conference that's like really surprisingly good. Like San Diego State's been there a couple times, I think. But
University of Phoenix.
if they make it, I'd be shocked. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see like
It,
which conferences over the years produce a conference champion that actually gets put in the college football playoffs.
Big South, baby. Roll Humps.
I don't know if Campbell would be the team chosen. I think if okay, speaking on this, if
We're
Campbell,
1-0. 1-0, baby. They're 1-0.
yeah, but Campbell could go under. Okay, so of course this does not apply for this year because we're not to 2024/26 yet. But Campbell would have to win every game and their conference championship. Do you even think they'd be ranked? Like, if Campbell goes undefeated
No,
throughout the regular
absolutely
season, do
not.
they get ranked?
No,
I don't think so. You'd have
no
to
shot.
put.
Well,
You would have
actually,
to play
they
two or
play
three
EC.
power. You
This
need
year
to
they
play
play
2 or 3 Power
ECU, so
Fives.
maybe.
No, we're about to see
You
what
don't think
ECU's
so?
made of. We're gonna see what ECU's made of.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's too excited about that game.
I am. I want to see my team
Well,
play.
I don't think anyone without a dog in the fight is too excited about it. But we also have one other big piece, and that is that Serena Williams' career just ended prior to
I
us
know.
starting this.
Attempting to
And
start
yeah,
this.
yeah, we delayed it for a little bit because I was watching Serena's match, and I was absolutely heartbroken. I saw her win set 2 and go to set 3, and then I started getting everything ready, and then glance back, she was down 5-1 in the third in the third set, uh, and then ended up going on like another 15-minute deuce, which she had like two of, and then ended up losing that one, which was unfortunate. Uh, but yeah, her career is officially over. It was kind of sad, but
Hey, heck
you
of a
know,
journey for
she's
Serena.
definitely she's one heck of an athlete, and she is definitely the goat of women's tennis. That's for sure.
A round of applause for Serena Williams.
Yeah, quite the career she
Congratulations
had.
on such a memorable career. A lot of good memories, bringing a lot of attention to women's tennis, which is probably one of the few people to do it, honestly. I mean, when you think of
Yeah,
women's tennis, you think of Serena Williams.
yeah, immediately. That's what makes her a goat. You
I
know,
mean,
I
even
feel
it,
like that's one of the I feel like that's one of the big classifications of what makes a goat a goat is like when you hear the name of a sport and everyone immediately thinks of that same athlete. I feel like that's kind of when they get into that goat status.
I
Tiger Woods
mean,
with golf,
Tiger Woods with
goat
golf, you
status.
have Michael Phelps with swimming,
Yeah,
uh, Tom Brady,
unfortunately, yeah.
Michael
Even though I don't
Jordan.
think he's a goat. Michael Jordan, although LeBron James is up there too, I do think Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but everyone seems to be kind of biased toward recency with LeBron.
All right, you want to hear my take
But
on
I
this
could
because I haven't said this before to anyone really. So this is breaking
go for it.
news. Carter reveals his discussion on the GOAT debate. And I kind of feel that there's this similar thing going on with football and basketball here with the GOAT debate. The GOAT of basketball is Michael Jordan, but I believe LeBron James is the most complete basketball player ever. He's probably the best basketball player ever, but Michael Jordan was greater.
Yeah,
And I'd say
yeah.
the same thing about football. You could not convince me that that Tom Brady's the most talented or best quarterback out there. But he's got this inapt ability to just win whenever he needs to.
He's just the face of football, which
And
kind of
so
sucks. But
that's kind of why I think they have the GOAT status. And in team sports, I don't want to say like their teammates were the ones doing this, but it is a bit easier to pull that in some of these team sports. But and as an
yeah,
NC State fan, it's kind of hard for me to like choke up one and say that Michael Jordan's the GOAT. But he is. I mean, I did not grow up in. I was not born. I was born way after he. Well, not after he retired, but after his time with the Bulls. But I mean, even going back
yeah,
and I've watched The Last Dance probably 3 or 4 times. It's a good documentary. If you haven't watched it, go check it out.
it's great. Yeah, I've watched it, but anyone out there who hasn't needs to check it out.
Yeah, Netflix,
But
please
yeah,
sponsor us. Um, yeah. So going out and watching that, I mean, you get a grasp of like how he was different compared to everybody else because you have all these players that'll come along. I mean, you have your Shaquille O'Neal's, your Curry's, your LeBrons, these generational talents. Oh, and your Kobe Bryant's, of course, that come along and change
yeah,
the game and stuff. But I think that one difference, and I saw this in a YouTube video from a guy, the difference in Jordan compared to everybody else is like LeBron and Curry and Kobe and Shaq and Kareem and all these other people that are like way up there. They all are respected by their other players. Like you have there's a level of respect that the players have for each other. People fear Michael Jordan. Like if you were going out to play a basketball game against MJ, you were like, "Oh, do I really have to do this right now? This is not what I want to do."
yeah,
And I don't not to say that people don't
yeah.
fear playing like LeBron James especially, but there was just an it factor that Jordan had that I don't think is the same way. And I think Tom Brady's the same way in the NFL as much as I hate to admit it. I mean, I'm still stuck in my ways saying that Peyton Manning is the most talented quarterback to play football.
I would have to agree with you there.
But I still think Tom Brady's the GOAT just because, he wins.
Unfortunately,
He has a knack for like untimely good or timely good playoff wins and miraculous moments that all just seem to go his way.
all right. So let me bring this up with you. Now that we're talking, now that we're on this topic, I saw I saw a post today on Instagram. It was like the top 50 brands in college basketball. Who do you think was number one?
Top 50 brands. So we talking like
Who do you?
colleges
Yeah,
or
just like
like
colleges in
the
general.
overall
So like,
college?
yeah. So
Hmm.
like, what do you think? Which college do you think has the best college basketball brand? Like when you think college basketball, what do you think is the best college basketball brand? What do you think? What's yours? And then what do you think was number one?
What I want it to be is the exact opposite what I believe it is. But I mean, I'm wearing a shirt right now that says I'm allergic to Chapel Hill. I'm a diehard State fan. But that being said, I can acknowledge greatness, and I bet it's probably Chapel Hill is up there in terms of biggest college basketball brands. That's for sure top five. Depending on when this was written, also depicts what other things it could be because Duke and Chapel Hill have had great runs in the last 40 years, really since the 80s.
This was made like this was made like a day ago. Like this is
Yeah,
like
but it's
completely up to date.
if this is talking about like I want to know how far this survey is like reaching back because I mean you could make an argument for UCLA, but I don't think
All
it was
time.
gonna
All
all
time.
time.
All time.
So that I
Yeah.
mean UCLA goes up there because of the days with what's his name, John Wooden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you have to put UCLA up there for like their 11 championships, with Kareem being
Yeah.
part or Lou Alcindor being part of those, and who is now Kareem. Um,
Yeah.
let's see who else. Chapel
You still
Hill,
haven't given me
Chapel Hill, Duke.
you still haven't given me your you still haven't given me okay, so one is Chapel Hill for you, two is Duke, or are you just listing off teams?
I'm just listing off teams. I'll give you my actual list in a second here.
Okay, just give me your top five. Just give me your top five.
In top five, all right. If we're going all time, Chapel
Yeah.
Hill, Duke, in no particular order except for number one, which I believe is
No, you
Chapel
gotta go
Hill.
in order.
In
You gotta go
order,
in order. You gotta go in order. Yeah.
Chapel Hill, Duke at two,
Okay.
UCLA.
Okay.
I have two more teams.
Yeah.
Hmm. Kentucky,
Yeah.
Kansas.
Well, you got all five that were in the top five, just
I
not in
did.
the order they put them
Not in
in.
the right order. So
Yeah.
all okay, so it's all blue bloods then.
It's all blue bloods, yeah, which is pretty obvious.
So let
Six was
me
Michigan,
six was Michigan. Okay,
which
I would not have gotten that one. Well, I
I mean
might have.
Fab Five,
Fab Five.
Fab Five.
Christian Leitner made them
So,
look silly.
but uh, but yeah,
At
and
number
UNC made them look silly. Let's.
at number one. So did I get any of the placements right?
I think you got them all wrong. I'll just go through.
All right, hang
So
on. No, 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 no.
they
Nope.
go.
I want to guess one more time. I want to guess my number one more time. I'm gonna say that it's
All
UCLA
right,
just because of their championship wins.
you're wrong again. And this was the part where I liked the top five. I just didn't like the order they had it. They go Duke
Duke.
UNC. They go Duke UNC, and then they go uh, Kentucky UCLA Kansas. I believe,
I do think
if I
can
remember
okay,
it
so
correctly.
I did have Kansas at five, so I did get that right.
Yeah.
And
So
I figured Duke and Chapel Hill would be the
personally,
two top.
I'm going UNC at one, and that may come off as bias, but I think UNC all time has the best college basketball brand. I think I think Jordan just made them the best basketball brand of all time because then you have Air Jordan, we have the Jordan
Yeah.
logo on our jerseys, and so do so many other teams. They have the Jordan logo, they wear Jordan shoes. Like, I just feel like Jordan going to UNC and just being such a massive success is just propels UNC to number one. You just look in the Raptors, you see all these retired jerseys. I just don't think that Duke quite is on the same level. I do think Duke is too. I think that both
Mm-hmm.
programs complement each other greatly, and I think that neither program would be as good without the other one. I think that their rivalry really puts them up there at 1 and 2. I got UCLA at 3. Uh, they've had some greatness. They've had, uh, they have the most national championships of all time. Uh, they haven't been as good recently, but they've made a few deep runs in the tourney the past
Hmm.
few years, and they're starting to get back to where they used to be. So, I respect UCLA. I think they're a great program. I have Kentucky at 4, another classic blue blood, super dominant throughout the 2000s. They've kind of fallen off a little bit recently, but they're still a great program. That loss to St. Peter's kind of really hurt them. But
Ooh, ouch.
yeah, but I still think they're, an elite program. And then I have Michigan at 5 over Kansas. I think that the Fab Five, I think Kansas is a great program as of recently, national champion this year. You know, They they've been very dominant and very prolific in basketball in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and even now in the 2020s. But I just think the history of Michigan is just too much, even though they've kind of fallen off. But like Fab Five, like which some people argue has been five, the best starting five of all time. Like some people have argued that. I've seen that where they feel like, you know, the Fab Five is, unbeatable. Their legacy is just too great. So I've seen people argue that. I don't know if I really agree with it, but, they were really good. They called a timeout when they shouldn't have against UNC to lose the Natty, but I think that was them. That might have been Georgetown. I might have them mixed
Yep.
up.
Yeah. All right. So
But anyways,
staying on college basketball. I want your opinion on this.
all right.
I think there's no I mean, I don't want to say there's no debate, especially with you being a Chapel Hill fan, that Mike Krzyzewski is probably the greatest basketball coach. I don't even know if I would say like pro slash college or just college, but where would you put Mike Krzyzewski at number one for college basketball coaches of all time?
You know, I think I mean, I wish Dean Smith, had as many years as Coach K because I would have loved to see them go against each other a lot more. But I think just because of how long Coach K coached and just because of, how much he did, he had a very long career, had over 1,000 wins. I hate to put him there, but I think I gotta put him at 1. I gotta put respect where respect is due. I feel like if Dean Smith had as long of a career as Coach K, there would be some debate there. Unfortunately, he did not. Rest in peace, Dean Smith. But um, Coach K was a great coach. Um, gotta give him credit there. Coached the Olympic team uh, back when he was a little younger, and back when the Olympic team wasn't a joke. Uh, and racked up over 1,000 wins. The culture he brought to Duke was, incredible for their program. Uh, and then I gotta go Dean Smith at 2. There's a saying that I love. It's that the only person who could limit Jordan to under 30 points was Coach Smith. And I remember hearing like stories about how Dean Smith like pulled Jordan out of the game, like if they started beating up on him too bad, how like if any of the players looked up at the scoreboard, he would pull him out of the game because he didn't need to be looking at the score. You're just playing ball. And Michael Jordan had to get Coach Smith's permission to dunk every time he got a breakaway, a steal, like a breakaway look at it. He always had to look over the bench, and if Dean Smith thought it was okay to dunk, he would do this, and then Jordan would know that he could dunk the basketball that time.
Okay, that's pretty
So
cool.
it's pretty funny. And then there was apparently one game where Michael Jordan like had some issues academically, I think. He had something going on and either academically or behaviorally in like practice or something. And Coach K, I think it had to be in practice because I think Coach K pulled a few of the guys aside and said,
Coach K.
"Hey, this is unacceptable." Coach K. We were talking about Coach
Smith.
K. Okay.
Yeah. Smith.
Dean Smith pulls them aside. I know. It's late, dude. It's really late. Dean Smith pulls them all aside and it's like, hey, this is unacceptable. We are better than this at UNC. You know, we can't be having this. And told them they would not be playing in the next game. And apparently Michael Jordan was in that group. And so they all go to their next game. Jordan suits up, warms up with the rest of the team. He goes over there to like check in, and Dean Smith goes, "No, I told you you're not playing the next game." Sat him down. Jordan didn't play.
That reminds me of something that happened back in whichever year Dennis Smith played for NC State. We had a game at NC State had a game at Duke, and it was a pretty rough game for Duke. Nothing was going their way. State kind of had a miraculous run, and then Dennis Smith ended it with a like monster dunk that didn't count because this time had ran out. Coach K took all of Duke's players' jerseys and like emptied the locker room, took all their stuff, and told them we did not play like Duke basketball, so y'all have to earn your jerseys back. He kicked them out.
Yeah.
He made them go do other
Yep.
things and like come back whenever they were ready.
Hmm.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
stories I've seen about Coach K that I thought are pretty cool. Like I'm not a
Yeah.
Duke.
There's a
I'm not a Duke fan by any means. I mean, I'm a State fan, so I kind of have to root against Duke and Chapel Hill. But there's something about certain coaches and certain players that even if they're on a team you despise or like a team you don't like, you still kind of have this like they have this draw that makes you want to pay attention to them. And I feel like K was definitely in that department.
yeah. You can say that. But anyways, I don't want to get too deep into college basketball because that's still months away.
And
But
we still got months on that. So back to the college football. All right, let's see here. What's the spicy question for today?
well, I think we're about out of time. This is a part two. So
No, that's right. We are about out of time. All right, so we'll go with
yeah.
this. Give me one team you think for sure will at least make the college football playoffs this year, and then one team you think is not a long shot, so to speak, but a team that people wouldn't expect and you think they can make it.
All right. Well, obviously, you got Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson are like the four favorites. So I don't want to be boring. Who would I think out of those four would be most shocking?
No, I'm
I'm
saying
gonna
you pick
go.
one safe pick and then one pick outside the top four.
Okay, well, if I have to go safe, I gotta go Alabama. Like no question about it.
All right,
I feel like they're the safest pick to be in. Um, Let me see one thing real quick. Let's see.
I'm actually gonna
I'm also
pull.
gonna go with I'm also gonna go with one team uh that I think is not going to make it in that everyone thinks is gonna make it in. And
Ooh,
I'm gonna say Clemson. I'm gonna say Clemson doesn't make the college football playoffs this year.
wow. So that means you have
Yeah.
Clemson dropping.
I
That means you have Clemson dropping at least one game.
yeah, I don't think they're gonna be good again this year. I mean, I think they like get back on the right track. I don't think they go unranked like they did last year. But I think they'll stay in the top 25, but I don't think they're gonna win all their games. My pick outside of the favorites, I'm gonna go with Texas A&M gets in to the
Dang
college football
it!
playoffs this
That's what
year.
I was gonna say. All right, you got me.
That's the safest of the unsafe
Outside.
picks though.
You know what? I have another
There's
sleeper
I mean
pick, and this my sleeper pick very well could get like completely disproven this weekend. Which you probably know where I'm going with this. Then
I'm gonna say you're going with Utah.
no,
Really? Who
I
are you going with?
think at number 11, Oregon. Oregon can
Oh
shock
boy,
some people.
Oregon.
I'm
Wow.
serious.
You know, I thought
They're
you were gonna go. I thought you were gonna go Utah because I have Utah on upset alert against Florida this week.
no, but I mean, so here's my thing with this. Oregon plays in the Pac-12, which is not necessarily a great conference, but that works to their advantage. It's kind of the same boat as the ACC, where I feel like Clemson's in this boat, and I guess NC State sort of too. If an ACC team manages to go undefeated, they will make the college football playoffs. It's been that way since the college football
Yeah,
playoffs started. And I feel like with Oregon, their out of conference game is Georgia. If they manage to upset Georgia in Atlanta this today, whatever time it is now, tomorrow. If they manage to pull off that upset, which I think is possible, not likely but possible, I think they can just run the table with the Pac-12 and make it to the playoffs as the number 4.
yeah, I can see that. I thought you were gonna go either Utah or Michigan. I think Michigan's a good pick to run it back, get back in the college football playoff.
Michigan's not going to beat Ohio State this year.
I think they'll put up a fight.
They will, but
I think.
and
I mean,
with
I think it's too early to tell.
um, so I think Ohio State, because Michigan and Ohio State might end up playing twice. You'll have the normal game, and then you'll probably have the champ. Oh, can they play in the championship, or is it like divisions like the ACC one is? Let me check
I'm
that
not
out.
sure,
That's
but
Big 10, I think. Yeah, Big 10. No, never mind. Michigan and Ohio State cannot meet in the conference tournament or in the conference finals. But I feel like whichever team wins that conference is going to be in the college football playoffs. I do feel like it's going to be Ohio State. Anyways, we probably ran way over
oh
our
yeah,
time limit
that's
for
fair.
this one.
We are definitely doing a little rough on time, so we need to wrap this one up.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. If you made it all the way through this, massive props to you. We really appreciate all y'all's support. Like I said, like I keep
If you
saying
made it
before,
all the way through, if you made it all the way through, comment Oregon is not making the college football playoff.
all right, all right. So yeah, everybody, link to the podcast or link to the Discord for the podcast will be in the description and a comment somewhere in there. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can get updates and stuff on on the videos going up. Don't miss any of our content. But yeah, we appreciate y'all's support. Thanks for rocking with us, and until next
Yep.
time.
Yeah, and let us know if you liked what we were gonna do with the 30-minute recording. We were kind of thinking we're gonna try to start shooting for 45-minute recording instead of the hour that we've been doing, but we kind of overshot tonight as well. So let us know 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 0 minutes. If you hate the podcast, just tell us to stop. Just you
Do
know,
something else.
you want to you want a 2-minute episode? We can work with that.
We can work 2 minutes.
Just let
2 minute
us
blitz
know.
episode. All right, guys. Appreciate it. And take care, y'all.
See you guys.